Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. Since the court handed down the Trump v. Casa case, where it used birthright citizenship, used that issue to basically prohibit judges, federal judges, lower court judges, from issuing universal or nationwide injunctions, a question has arisen that I want to address in this video. And that question is whether or not Trump can deport Black Americans, African Americans, especially those whose ancestors were enslaved in this country, what many people call foundational Black Americans. And the answer is yes, he certainly can. This case made it much easier. This case gave Trump the tool to do just that. Despite him saying, I heard him say it with my own ears recently, the day after the case came down, or maybe even the same day, that the 14th Amendment was added for the babies of slaves. Well, that is true. However, the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment does not apply just to the descendants of enslaved people. That is not the way it is written. It actually says all persons. So it's not written that way. It's not interpreted that way, and it's not applied that way. All right, so keep that in mind. It's really important. And I believe Trump is saying that so that he can divide the Black and brown community, to say this is not, birthright citizenship is not for you. Basically, it's for Blacks. And you're trying to take something you're trying to take something from them. I think that is intended to pit us against each other. And I also think that he's saying that to deceive Blacks into believing that he is for us, when clearly he is not for us. All right? But let's get back to nationwide injunctions, because when the U.S. Supreme Court got rid of nationwide injunctions, that basically gave Trump free rein to do just about anything he wants to do, including deporting American citizens, not just Black Americans. And the basic reason why is because no judge can stop him, not with respect to the entire country. A judge can stop someone who files lawsuit against Trump. But think about it. If Trump snatch up, say, 100 African Americans and deport them to Sudan or Libya or Nicaragua or El Salvador or wherever, those people are gone. They're out of the country. They're God knows wherever. And so let's say one of their family members file a lawsuit on their behalf. And let's say they successfully get an injunction from the judge. Well, it used to be, before this case, that the judge could say, basically, you got to return all 100 of these African Americans because you unlawfully deported them. But now, with this case, the judge could only say you got to bring that one person back. And the other 99, although it's unlawful, he cannot prohibit that unless they do a class action lawsuit. And class action lawsuits can take months, if not years, to get certified. So those other 99 African American people could be over there lingering, rotten in some jail or whatever, while their cases matriculates through the court system. It's almost like saying you can't kill that man after you then shot him. Listen, this court case essentially said to judges, you cannot issue nationwide injunctions except for certified class action lawsuits, even if what he is doing is unlawful. So if you phrase the question this way, can Trump lawfully deport African Americans? The answer is clearly no. But that's not the question. The question is, can he deport African Americans even if it's unlawful? The answer to that question is yes, because there's nobody to stop him anymore. All right? I want that to be clear. This is not just about immigrants. This is not just about Latinos. This case went far beyond immigration. I hope I'm making this clear. This is not just about immigrants. This is not just about Latino immigrants. This case went far beyond immigration. It basically, at this point, jeopardizes all of our rights. All of them. Now, I'm going to take you to the case and I'm going to show you that. So Amy Coney Barrett, Justice Barrett, wrote the case for the majority. And she said that judges could no longer issue nationwide injunctions, even if what Trump is doing is unlawful. You may say, wow, really? Yes, really. Let me show you. Because it jeopardizes all of our rights. So the very first thing, now I went over this in the video that I did a day or so ago about this very same thing, but this one, I'm talking specifically to African Americans, whether we can be deported or any other American for that matter. So at the very top, Justice Barrett says the applications do not raise and thus we do not address. Now, what applications are she talking about? Well, when the judges, 3 judges, issued those nationwide injunctions, the Trump administration filed applications for a stay. The word stay means stop. So they filed applications with SCOTUS. They were asking SCOTUS to stop the injunctions from stopping them from doing what they wanted to do, which was redefine birthright citizenship. All right, and the appellate court agreed with the lower court, but when it got to SCOTUS, SCOTUS agreed with the Trump administration and granted their applications, basically stopping the nationwide injunctions and also saying to the judges, don't issue any more unless they are pursuant to class action lawsuits or to the one person or several people who are directly in a lawsuit, but don't apply that to everybody else. So since it applies only to the people named in the lawsuit, the rest of what Trump does by his executive order to the other people, he can get away with it, whether it's lawful or not, whether it's constitutional or not constitutional. All right? So here we go. She says the application do not raise and thus we do not address the question whether the executive order violates the Citizenship Clause or Nationality Act. The issue before us is one of remedy. The remedy is getting the application granted. Doesn't have anything to do with the constitutionality of the executive order that Trump issued. And that is whether under the Judiciary Act of 1789, which creates federal courts, have equitable authority to issue universal injunctions. And I already told you they answered the question in the negative. No, they do not have that power going forward. Now, Justice Sotomayor, she wrote the dissent, and she called it gamesmanship that the Trump administration did not include whether the executive order was constitutional. She said that was gamesmanship. In other words, they played game because what they really wanted was just to get the court to say that the lower judges can no longer issue universal injunctions. That's what they were trying to get, because that's what's holding up Trump's agenda, his Project 2025 agenda, his anti-black agenda, his anti-civil rights agenda. That's what was holding it up. And she says, yet shamefully, this court plays along. A majority of this court decides that these applications of all cases provide the appropriate occasion to resolve the question of universal injunction. And she goes on. Now, if we jump down to the next paragraph, she goes on to say, and this is what I want you to hear very carefully, no right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates. No right is safe. So we can say as African Americans, we have the right not to be deported because we are citizens. We have birthright citizenship. All right? And it is true. Let me say this. I want to make sure you understand that birthright citizenship was added to the Constitution because of our enslaved ancestors. That's true. Where Trump is wrong is it doesn't just apply to us. Just like equal protection doesn't just apply to us, or due process doesn't just apply to us. So she says, no right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates. So if we say, hey, you can't deport us, in other words, we could say to the ICE agent, you can't deport us, I'm an American citizen. And because of this case, they could tell you, shut up, put your hands behind your back, you're arrested, and we're getting ready to deport you. We're putting you on a plane right now. And you say, well, how can they do that? Because of this case. And because no judge could issue a nationwide injunction stopping it from happening. So let's say you and 10 of your buddies are hanging out. ICE pulls up on you, and ICE grabs all 10 of you up and puts you on a plane and deport you. Okay? No due process, nothing, just deport you. Now, isn't that unlawful? Of course it is. You have certain rights. You have the right to due process. You have the right not to be deported. And by the way, Trump has already said that he is going to deport homegrown criminals anyway, right? But let's say you're not criminals, yet you got grabbed up along with 9 of your buddies. Now what would happen is, let's say one of those 9 or 2 of those 9 file lawsuits. And the judge in those lawsuits said you got to bring those 2 people back. Well, what happens to you? Well, you can stay. Trump can keep you over there, although it's unlawful, because the judge cannot issue a nationwide injunction that covers the other 8 of you or 9 of you. So it would be unlawful, but it can be done because that nationwide injunction can't be used to help you. You say, well, then my family can file a lawsuit, or we can do a class action lawsuit. You're right, you can. But you're already deported. And to get that class action lawsuit certified may take months, years maybe. To get your case in front of a judge may take much more time than you want to be spending somewhere. So this is not fear-mongering. I'm telling you where we are. She said, no right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates. That also includes civil rights. The Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act. None of it, she says, is safe with what SCOTUS has given the Trump administration. Let's keep reading. Today, the threat is birthright citizenship. So she's trying to say that's the issue today, but tomorrow it could be deporting Black Americans or whatever. Tomorrow, a different administration may try to seize firearms from law-abiding citizens or prevent people of certain faiths from gathering to worship. She says the majority holds that, absent cumbersome class action litigation, courts cannot completely enjoin even such plainly unlawful policies, unless doing so is necessary to afford the former parties complete relief. So she's saying that the majority allows Trump to do even what's unlawful because it took away from those judges the ability to stop Trump on a nationwide basis, even if what he's doing is unlawful. Now, if you're named in the lawsuit in court A, fine. Then you can get relief. You can get the remedy. But if you're not named in that lawsuit, you got to file your own. And if it's something that affects millions of people, those people got to either do a class action or all of them got to file lawsuits. Meanwhile, Trump's unlawful policy is still in effect. Because again, all that could take months or years. This is not fear-mongering. This is where we are. Justice Jackson, the African-American woman who's on the court, she said, make no mistake, today's ruling allows the executive to deny people rights, there's that word rights again, that the founders plainly wrote into our Constitution. And just like Justice Sotomayor, she said, so long as those individuals have not found a lawyer or asked the court in a particular manner to have their rights protected. And you're not in a situation, if you get deported or something, you're not in a situation to do or say anything. You sitting over in Sudan or something. And again, it doesn't matter that Trump incorrectly stated the law when he says that birthright citizenship applies only to the babies of slaves. And by the way, none of us are babies of slaves. Have you thought about that? None of us. No one living today is a baby of a slave. So technically, that really doesn't apply to any of us. If that is true, that birthright citizenship only applies to babies of slaves, none of us are citizens, not even white people. So you know that's an inaccurate statement. In the 14th Amendment itself, the Citizenship Clause literally says persons. Persons. Persons born in this country or nationalized and are subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. So, again, I hope you understand now. This case was horrible. It went way beyond immigration. It went way beyond the Latino community. As you just read, I'm going to show it to you again. As you just read, Justice Sotomayor says no right is safe. And Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson says, make no mistake, today's rulings allows the executive to deny people rights that the founders plainly wrote into our Constitution. So if you're saying, I got the right not to be deported, that's no longer safe, folks, because of this case. So again, yes, African Americans can be deported, even those who are descendants of enslaved Africans in this country. That's where we are. That's what we get for this nation reelecting Trump. And don't forget, and I won't let you forget, 2.5 million African Americans voted for his reelection. And millions more didn't even care to vote. So Project 2025 is in full effect. The GOP is backing everything he does. So neither branch of the government is doing anything to stop him. Congress, nope. The courts, nope. That's where we are. All right. I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. Thank you for watching this video. And remember, you better stay woke.